The sun was barely awake, painting the dusty Nigerian village in gold, when a young boy's small hands reached for a chance no one believed he had. Emeka, quiet, slow to learn, and often called useless, was about to face a moment that would change everything. Today, a single choice, a single act of courage, would make the village see him in a way no one ever had before. But how could a boy, always underestimated, do something so incredible? Stay with me, because what happens next will shock you, inspire you, and maybe even make you see the power hidden in the quietest hearts. And if you want to follow every twist of Emeka's journey, hit that subscribe button now, because you don't want to miss how it all began. In a small village in Nigeria, there was a boy named Emeka. He went to the local primary school, and every morning he walked to school with his little bag, hoping that today would be different. But for Emeka, school was never easy. He was slower to learn than the other children, and sometimes, no matter how hard he tried, he could not remember the lessons as quickly as his classmates. His teacher, Teacher Neka, was strict and had little patience for children who struggled. She often shouted at Emeka in front of the whole class, "Emeka, you are so slow. Why can't you understand? You are useless," she would say. Every time she spoke those words, Emeka felt a heavy sadness in his chest. His cheeks would burn, and sometimes he would want to cry, but he held the tears back because he did not want anyone to see him weak. The other children laughed sometimes when Teacher Neka scolded him. "Stupid boy," some would whisper or giggle behind his back. Emeka tried to ignore them, but it was not easy. He loved learning, and he wanted to be like the other children, but no matter how hard he worked, the words of the teacher made him feel small. Even though Emeka struggled in school, he had a kind heart. He helped other children when they dropped their books, shared his small snacks with friends who forgot theirs, and never spoke harshly to anyone. At home, he told his parents or his older sister about his day, but he never complained too much because he did not want to worry them. He believed that one day, maybe someone would see the good inside him, even if Teacher Neka did not. Every morning, as he sat in the classroom and listened to Teacher Neka teach the lessons, Emeka hoped he would understand, and he tried with all his little heart. Even when the teacher shouted at him, he whispered to himself, "One day, I will show them what I can do." After a long, tiring day at school, Emeka walked slowly along the dusty village path, carrying his little bag. The sun was setting, and the sky was painted with orange and purple colors. As he reached his small compound, he was greeted by the warm smile of his mother, Mama Uche, who was sweeping the yard. "Hello, my son," she said gently. "How was school today?" Emeka forced a small smile. "It was okay, Mama," he replied quietly, trying not to mention how Teacher Neka had scolded him again. At home, things were different from school. Emeka felt safe and loved. His family knew he was slow at learning, but they also knew he had a kind heart and clever ideas. Mama Uche often reminded him, "Emeka, learning is not only in books. Your heart and your kindness are also important." These words made Emeka feel proud, even when others made fun of him. After washing his hands and eating a small meal of yam and beans, Emeka went to help his younger sister, Chinwe, with her homework. Even though he struggled himself, he patiently explained things to her, drawing pictures in the sand when words were hard to find. "Look, Chinwe," he said softly, "if you follow the steps carefully, it will be easier to understand." Emeka also helped his father, Papa Uche, in small ways around the compound. He carried water from the well, fed the chickens, and fixed broken tools with whatever he could find. Everyone in the family noticed his careful, thoughtful ways. Even the neighbors often said, "Emeka is a good boy. He may not be fast in school, but his heart is very strong." Even though the village children sometimes teased him and Teacher Neka called him useless, Emeka never became angry or mean. He believed that being helpful and kind was more important than being the fastest in class. Deep in his heart, he knew one day something big would happen that would show everyone that he was special in his own way. Every night, before sleeping on his thin mat, Emeka whispered softly, "One day, I will do something they will never forget." And with that hope, he closed his eyes, dreaming quietly under the twinkling stars of his little Nigerian village. The next morning, the sun rose slowly over the little Nigerian village, sending golden light through the palm trees and over the dusty roads. Emeka woke up early, as usual, tying his worn shoes and preparing his little bag for school. He felt a strange excitement in his chest, though he did not know why. Maybe it was just another normal day. But sometimes, normal days could surprise you in ways you never expected. When Emeka arrived at school, Teacher Neka was already at the front of the classroom, her face serious as always. "Good morning, class," she said sharply. "And Emeka, try not to waste time today." The other children giggled quietly, but Emeka just nodded and sat at his usual place, ready to learn as best as he could. During the morning lessons, Emeka tried harder than ever. He listened carefully, copied notes, and raised his hand when he could. Still, Teacher Neka often scolded him. "Emeka, pay attention. Why are you always behind?" she snapped. Emeka's cheeks burned, and he felt the familiar sadness fill him, but he stayed calm. He whispered to himself, "I will not give up. I will do my best." After lessons, the children were sent outside to sweep the compound and collect firewood for the school kitchen. Teacher Neka decided to go check the old storage shed, which was at the edge of the schoolyard. She was carrying a heavy basket of books and did not notice that the ground near the shed was uneven and slippery from the morning rain. Emeka was sweeping nearby when he noticed her foot slip near a small pit. His heart jumped. He knew something bad could happen if she fell. Without thinking twice, he dropped his broom and ran as fast as his little legs could carry him. "Teacher Neka," he shouted, waving his hands to get her attention. Teacher Neka turned just in time to see Emeka rushing toward her. The basket of books tipped over, and she almost lost her balance completely. But Emeka reached her quickly, grabbed her arm, and helped steady her. She was shocked and almost didn't believe it. "Emeka, you saved me," she stammered, her eyes wide with surprise and relief. In that moment, the children watching from a distance gasped. They had never seen Emeka act so fast or so bravely. The boy they had always laughed at had just prevented a serious accident. Teacher Neka's face softened, and for the first time, she looked at Emeka differently. Not as the slow boy in her class, but as someone capable and clever in ways she had never noticed. The moment seemed to stretch like it would never end. Teacher Neka's basket of books wobbled dangerously on the edge of the pit, and her foot was stuck in the soft, muddy ground. Emeka's small hands grabbed her arm tightly, holding her steady so she wouldn't fall. He tugged gently but firmly, using all his strength, and pulled her backward onto safer ground. "Thank you, Emeka. Thank you." Teacher Neka gasped, her voice shaking as she caught her breath. She looked down at him, her eyes wide, her stern face melting into surprise and relief. The other children had stopped what they were doing and stared at the scene in awe. Some whispered, "That's Emeka. He just saved Teacher Neka." Emeka felt a little shy as he looked up at her. I just saw you were going to fall, teacher. I wanted to help," he said softly. He was not used to praise, and he felt a strange, warm feeling inside, almost like pride mixed with happiness. Teacher Neka's heart was pounding. She remembered all the times she had shouted at Emeka, called him stupid, and told him he was useless. She saw him now, not as a slow child, but as brave, careful, and quick-thinking. The boy she had underestimated had just saved her from a serious accident, and suddenly all her anger and impatience felt wrong. "Emeka, I owe you an apology," she said, her voice trembling. "I have been unfair to you. I called you names and treated you badly, but now I see you are very clever and very brave." The children around them gasped again, amazed to hear Teacher Neka speak kindly to Emeka. Even some of the children who had teased him looked at him differently now. They whispered among themselves, "Maybe Emeka isn't slow. Maybe he's just special." Emeka blushed, but kept his eyes on the ground, feeling both proud and a little embarrassed. He did not boast, because helping someone was what he felt was right, not something to show off. But inside, he realized something important. His kindness and carefulness, the things others had overlooked, could make a real difference. That day, Teacher Neka led Emeka back to the classroom with a new smile on her face. For the first time, she spoke to him with respect, explaining the lessons patiently and praising him when he answered correctly. Emeka still struggled sometimes, but now he felt hope and encouragement instead of shame. The schoolyard buzzed with excitement as the children shared the story of how Emeka had saved their teacher. Everyone had a new understanding. Sometimes the ones who seem quiet, slow, or different might have the courage and cleverness to do amazing things. And Emeka, he felt that maybe this was just the beginning of a new chapter in his life. After that day, everything at school began to feel different for Emeka. Teacher Neka, who had once been strict and impatient with him, now looked at him with respect and even a little pride. Each morning, she would greet him with a smile and say, "Good morning, Emeka. I am glad you are here today." The words were simple, but for Emeka, they meant the world. In class, Teacher Neka started noticing the little ways Emeka learned. Sometimes he was slow to answer, but when he did, his answers were thoughtful and clever. She realized that he was not stupid as she had called him before. He just needed time and encouragement. Slowly, she began giving him more attention and explaining lessons patiently, helping him understand step by step. The other children also noticed the change. Some who had teased Emeka before now came to him for help. "Emeka, can you show me how you did that?" they would ask. Even the children who had laughed at him began to respect him, and Emeka helped them kindly, just as he had always done. Teacher Neka also shared the story of Emeka's bravery with the entire school during assembly. She told everyone how he had saved her from falling into the pit, and she praised his quick thinking and courage. "Emeka is not just clever in his own way," she said, her voice warm. "He is kind, brave, and thoughtful. Let us all remember that everyone has their own gifts, even if they are not always easy to see." Emeka felt a warm glow in his heart as the children clapped for him. He could hardly believe that the same teacher who had once shouted at him now spoke so kindly. For the first time, he felt that maybe he belonged, that maybe people could see the good inside him. At home that evening, Emeka told Mama Uche and Papa Uche what had happened. His mother hugged him tightly. "See, my son, I told you, your heart and your patience are your real strength," she said softly. Emeka smiled, feeling proud but also calm. He had learned something important. Kindness, courage, and patience could change even the hardest hearts. From that day on, Emeka's life at school became brighter. He still worked hard, still learned slowly, but now he did so with encouragement, respect, and hope. And somewhere deep inside, he knew that his small acts of care and bravery had started to change not only his life, but the way others saw him. As the days passed, Emeka began to feel a new kind of confidence growing inside him. School was still not always easy, and some lessons were still hard to understand, but now he had encouragement instead of constant scolding. Teacher Neka took time to explain things carefully, and she praised him when he tried his best. Emeka felt proud of himself, and for the first time, he really believed he could succeed. Other children began noticing the change too. Some who had teased him before now asked for his help with their lessons. "Emeka, can you show me how to solve this?" they would ask. Emeka always smiled and patiently explained, using simple words and even drawing pictures in the sand for them to understand. His classmates began to admire him, not just for his cleverness, but for his kindness and willingness to help everyone. Emeka also discovered new talents he had never realized before. During a school sports day, he helped organize games, guiding the younger children with care. During storytelling sessions, he came up with creative ideas that made his classmates laugh and clap. Teacher Neka was amazed. She told the class, "Emeka may not be the fastest at writing lessons, but his ideas, his heart, and his courage are gifts to all of us." At home, Emeka's family noticed his confidence too. Mama Uche smiled as she watched him explain schoolwork to Chinwe and even plan small activities for the children in their compound. "Emeka, you are becoming a fine young boy. I am proud of you," she said. Emeka's heart felt full of joy. For so long he had felt small and unnoticed, but now he knew that patience, hard work, and kindness were being noticed, and they were changing his life. The village people began to hear about Emeka too. They told each other how the boy who was once called slow and useless had saved his teacher, helped his friends, and showed great courage. Emeka's name began to spread, not for mischief or mistakes, but for goodness, clever thinking, and bravery. For the first time, Emeka felt that he could dream bigger. He imagined himself helping more people, learning new things, and becoming someone who could make a difference. The boy who once walked quietly to school with his head low now walked with his head held high, carrying not just his bag, but also hope and courage. Emeka had learned something important. Sometimes it takes courage, patience, and a kind heart to shine, and when you do, everyone around you begins to see the light you carry. As time went on, Emeka became known throughout the village for his kind heart, courage, and cleverness. He was no longer the boy who others whispered about as slow or useless. Teacher Neka treated him with respect every day, praising his efforts and encouraging him to keep learning. Emeka's classmates also saw him in a new light. Some who had once teased him now came to him for advice and help, and Emeka shared everything he knew without ever feeling proud or boastful. At home, Emeka continued to help his family and younger sister with patience and care. Mama Uche and Papa Uche were proud of him, not just for his cleverness, but for his character. Emeka realized that true strength was not only in being fast or perfect, but in being kind, brave, and willing to help others when they needed it most. One afternoon, as Emeka walked home from school, he saw some younger children struggling with a heavy load of firewood. Without hesitation, he ran over and helped them carry it safely to their compound. The children looked at him with wide eyes and whispered, "Wow, that is Emeka. He is always helping others." Emeka smiled quietly and said, "It is okay. Helping each other makes us all stronger." Years later, Emeka grew up to be a wise and respected young man in the village. People remembered the day he saved Teacher Neka and how he had shown everyone that even those who are quiet, slow, or underestimated can have great courage and intelligence hidden inside them. His story became a lesson for all the children in the village. Never judge someone too quickly, and always remember that kindness, patience, and courage can change lives. And so the boy who had once been called useless became a hero, not because he was the fastest or the smartest, but because he had a heart full of courage and goodness. Emeka learned that everyone has a special gift, and sometimes it is the smallest acts of kindness that leave the biggest mark in the world. The village children whispered his name with admiration. Teacher Neka smiled whenever she saw him, and Emeka continued to walk his path with confidence, knowing that no matter what others said, his heart and his actions had the power to change the world. And so Emeka, the boy once called slow and useless, grew into a young man whose courage, kindness, and patience left a mark on everyone around him. The village would always remember how a quiet heart, when brave and true, can shine brighter than anyone expects. His story reminds us that strength is not always loud, and greatness can come from the most unexpected places. If Emeka's journey touched your heart, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe so more incredible stories can unfold. Every story has a lesson, and every lesson has the power to inspire, just like Emeka did.